Okay, wonderful. So my name is Catherine Summerall, Real Estate with Catherine at Keller Williams Realty here in Durango. And I've been blessed to serve the Durango community for the past 7 years. And that includes over 130 families served through real estate. And the reason why I've developed this conversation series platform was I felt that this need to show up as a response to COVID, and not only as your real estate partner, also a community partner to help disseminate accurate information, give people sound perspectives, and simply provide a platform for other community leaders to do the same. So with that, I do have our guest organization here today, Land Title. Josh Neiman is the manager of our local land title title company and leads the title and closing processes and services for the real estate community in La Plata County. And so Josh, why don't you just kind of introduce yourself, a little bit of your background and land title.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you, Catherine, for having me here today. As you mentioned, I've been with Land Title Guarantee. I've been with the Durango branch for the last 3 years. Previous to that, I was in lending and actually grew up here in Durango. So feel very fortunate to be part of the Land Title family. Land Title is it's a company that's been around in the state of Colorado for over, I think it's 53 years now. And in the Durango market, we've been in for close to, I think it's right at 50 years. So,
Awesome.
And yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's something, as we kind of mentioned or discussed before this show, it's something I really enjoyed over the course of the last 3 years. And it's an interesting time that we're in right now, but just like I said, happy to be with Land Title.
Awesome. Well, I think it'd be good just to give some perspective to what the services of a title company, because truly you guys are the link between or integral part of the real estate transaction and provide a lot of value to both buyers and sellers. Can you just share with people maybe just the services and the value that, reputable title company like Land Title brings?
Sure, you bet. So, the main thing is just that it's ensuring when we say title insurance, it's ensuring that as a purchaser, what you're purchasing is indeed that you have the proper rights of ownership itself, and that the chain of title leading up to that allows for that. As a seller, if there was something before you, it also ensures that everything is going to get done moving forward to where it could eliminate your liability, if anything, down the road. We're also, we're making sure there's a lot of different entities and stakeholders that are involved in any real estate transaction, whether, you have the agents that are involved, buyer, seller, the lender, the HOAs, water, sewer, just all these different parties that are part of this, and we're ensuring that everything is transferred correctly, that everything goes smooth when you're dealing with all those different stakeholders, to where the new buyer, has less to worry about moving forward. Through that process, like I said, if there's a lender involved, it's also giving the lender confidence that the documents were presented accurately, and that they're protected, and that their interest in the property is protected moving forward as well.
Love it. And it's all about mitigating risk, right? And your service, essentially, if I would wrap that up into one sentence, is helping parties mitigate risk.
Correct. No,
yeah.
That sums it up.
So, again, maybe dive like the title plant, because I think Land Title is a differentiator in the quality of information that comes out of your title plant, and maybe talk about what is the terminology of a title plant, and go into a little bit of the back end scenes of how you look to mitigate risk.
Sure. Well, one of the things, again, with being in, let's say, a market or even across the state of Colorado, is that you gather data. Every transaction, you're able to gather data, whether it be the deeds, easements, encumbrances, anything else that is out there And over the years, like I said, when you've been in a market for over 50 years, um, that data is very valuable, and you're able to go back and look at it. And even if you're not dealing with every single transaction, um, there's just so much value in the information that's in there. And so that is something that we can access very quickly. It's not something that requires a total research back to patent, if you will, by having that plant itself. So it's really just a database of information, and it really tells the story of every particular property through the subdivisions, through the expansion, through the development. And so that, yeah, it's really our basis of, like you say, mitigating that risk and ensuring what we are ensuring, what the commitment says. It's really, it's where all our value is.
Yeah, love that. So as we then transition into COVID world, and maybe leading, giving some perspective to how things have pivoted in your world, how the logistics of how closings are being handled, and then even leading into, setting an expectation for this safer at home order that, do we anticipate to see any changes continuing from there on out?
Yeah. Yeah. We're obviously in the last 6, 8 weeks, our world has turned upside down and we've had to reinvent how you say, when you're talking about mitigating risk, we have this new thing out here with the COVID-19 and mitigating that. And, the things that we're looking at, or the stakeholders that are at play, is obviously you guys as the realtors, the lenders, um, certainly all of our clients and our employees, each and every one of us. So what we've tried to do is really eliminate all contact points to obtain the same goal of getting to the closing and getting the transaction closed, and giving the lender the confidence that it's closed appropriately, and giving the buyer and seller the confidence that it's closed appropriately.
Mhm.
A couple of ways that we've done that, Catherine, is like I said, we've gone to these no contact closings, and the most, the one that we're using primarily is what we call a curbside closing. And what that is rather than our clients coming into our office for a closing itself, they are just pulling up to our curb that's marked out on 18th Street where we're out there. And we've had a lot of fun with it. It's not one of those things, like I said, when we were trying to figure out solutions back some time ago, it's difficult to get your head around everybody not coming into the closing room and sitting down and going over the documents, and how are we going to do this? But now that we've been doing it for over a month now, it's just actually we're having fun with it. It's as presenters, we're getting outside, and even though we have masks and gloves on throughout the process, where you can see people are smiling, and they're excited to be moving forward with the transaction itself. And you can see I even got a little bit of a suntan up here because I'm able to get some sunshine out there as well. And so that's the primarily our number one process that we're utilizing. And essentially we're delivering the documents in a sanitized container that is sanitized after every transaction. They're getting brand new pens that we're asking the signers just to keep with them. And the first thing that we're doing is applying hand sanitizer for everybody's protection. We are asking that they send in their identification first so that we don't have to make a copy. But for the notary requirements, we are asking to see those IDs from, like I said, by keeping our distance. And again, we are masked and gloved from that standpoint. We hand over the documents. In most cases, we've been able to go over the documents either over a telephone call or looking at them, very similar to what we're doing right here, to where we can try and address any questions that they may have. In certain instances, that doesn't happen, and we can basically, we're a phone call away, or we're just outside the window 6 feet away to address any of those questions from that standpoint. So like I said, that's our main process right now of moving closings forward. The other one we also have is what we call a VMO, or a virtual mail out closing. And this is through an emergency statute that was passed through the governor that allows for this type of mobile notary. And what it requires us to do is we're basically mailing out the documents. Um, and let me mention, there's, in a seller side, there's just a handful of documents that need to be notarized.
Mhm.
On the buyer side, if there's a loan, the lender is pretty much, they're asking us to get all documents wet signed, so most of those are being signed. But for the title documents, the majority of them we are able to get e-signed, so people are really liking that because it's several documents that they don't have to sign while they're sitting in their car. They can actually do it in the comforts of their computer. So then on the seller side, it's really just, 3 documents that they need to get signed at that point and to be notarized. So it's a real quick process. We're able to get them in and out because we've already addressed everything virtually, like we are right here or over the phone. But moving forward to the second process, if it's not a drive up, we can actually mail those documents out. We get on a meeting similar to this, which is recorded, and we just validate that they are indeed signing those particular documents. They go ahead and either FedEx or UPS them back to us, and then we're able to stamp them with our notary stamp at that time. So we have, the proper vetting process for verifying their identification, verifying that they're actually signing the documents that we would be notarizing once we get them back. So like I said, we really had to kind of think out of the box in a short time, but it's going really well, and we're able to keep transactions moving forward.
Yeah, love that. So 2 things that I wanted to point to key in on. One, certainly the confidence and the ability to continue to transact real estate. I mean, just making sure that that message is very clear to the community that we pivoted, we have solutions in place that are protective of everyone involved. And so appreciate you guys doing that and pivoting quickly to help that consumer confidence, because the reality is there are people out there that need to buy and sell a home, and for whatever reason, that real estate is a very personal conversation. And so I appreciate you just continuing to provide a high level of service to the community and to the real estate population, to us.
Yeah. No, we realize the importance, somebody selling their house or buying a house or even refinancing. It can be a game changer for certain people at these particular times. And yeah, like I said, it's really been fun to watch how it's kind of all unfolded, and that we're able to keep moving forward.
Yeah. And then the second thing is kind of what you said, is it was hard initially to wrap our head around how this was going to look, because we're so used to doing things in our own processes and mechanisms that, man, to flip that on its side and to think we got to do something completely different. And the way that you guys did that, for an example, I think is a really strong example, I guess, to for other businesses to say, hey, we've done it this way. It's going to be a challenge. It's really hard for us to think about, but what happens if we did something different? And then to your point, which I'm hearing is, man, it's going really smooth. And maybe, yeah, we had some hiccups, but this is fun. And there's, we're providing a high level of service, and we're doing all these things so just encouraging business owners that are listening in on this dialogue is you can do the same, and reach out to those people that maybe be able to help mastermind those ideas, or reach out to your support system relative to your world. But we will certainly persevere and continue to offer good service. So any other questions or thoughts that you've gotten in your world that would be of value for people listening in?
I think you've touched on it a little bit, but we've had a lot of people that when we've done their curbside signing, or even we helped out on a transaction where the seller is actually in New Zealand right now. And we were able to it wasn't our VMO product that I mentioned, but we utilized another company called Notarize. and they were able to help us because the consulate was closed in New Zealand to where they could get their documents notarized. Um, but those are different examples, like I said, of people, whether they're at the curbside or even, you know, across the world, they just were like, we can't believe we're here. Like, we thought that, you know, this was going to be dead in the water, or it wasn't going to happen, or it was going to be delayed. And they're so thankful, and they're so, you know, excited. And the same thing where you have folks that are under contract because they're moving here, and they were afraid that they weren't going to have a home because they've already closed elsewhere, wherever they're moving from, and they were afraid they weren't going to be able to close, and the lenders pulling it together. And it's just amazing when you see the collaboration
Yeah.
of the real estate agents, the lenders, and just how everybody's so enthusiastic about collaborating to create solutions to these problems that have just arisen so quickly. And then, like you say, you know, it keeps getting smoother and smoother. We keep trying to find better ways to continue to keep it more efficient. But yeah, it's just, I think that's the biggest thing, is just people are somewhat shocked that, wow, we were actually able to get here and get closed at this point. So.
Awesome. And moving into the safer at home order that just got enacted here yesterday, Monday, I anticipate those same processes will become, you know, still this new normal, right?
Yeah, correct. And that's really what, you know, we're looking at. As you can see, I'm actually not in my office. I'm at home. What we're doing in our office is we have split up. We do have folks in our office that are in the vulnerable. They've been working home for, I think, 6 weeks now. But those of us that can go into the office, we've broke into 2 different hubs so that if somebody were to come, I mean, the reality of it is, yeah, there's still risk that any one of us or any one of our customers or, you know, anybody could end up contracting this virus. And so what we're doing, you talk about mitigating risk, is we want to ensure that we're able to still deliver our services. And so by breaking up into 2 different hubs, what it does is we have a team that's in the office right now. They're doing all the necessary essential items of printing the documents, doing the curbside closings, printing checks, getting those out, all the mail outs going back to the lenders themselves. So they're doing those items. They're in their 2nd week. And those of us that are on my team and my hub, we're going to be going back in starting next week, and we'll be in for 2 weeks. And the whole idea is that we always have a team that has been quarantined and could jump back into the office in the event that we did have somebody that perhaps contracted the virus, or even came in contact, or even had symptoms of it, that we're able to, you know, always be hopefully 1 step ahead of this on that. And I think that's just the way that we all have to kind of look at doing business and mitigating that risk, and realizing that, yeah, we're going to continue to have people that come into contact with this whole thing that we're going through. But how do we get around it? How do we stay 1 step ahead of it? And how do we keep things moving forward?
Love it. Well, if you know, thank you for your time. Really, really appreciate you and your leadership within your team and the community, and everything that you do for us. And if people have any questions or would like to reach out to you, how would they go about doing that?
You can always reach me via my direct line. Is even when I'm here in the comfort of my own couch, it's going right to my cell phone. My direct line is 970-880-7049. And my email is jneiman, and that's spelled Neiman, @ltgc.com. So yeah, please do. Any questions that anybody has about anything, or processes that we're doing, or how we were able to, you know, different approaches that we took, always happy to share.
Love it. And for those that have any real estate questions, you can find me at Real Estate with Catherine. So work with Catherine at kw.com. And Josh, keep rocking it. Keep doing a great job. And thank you for coming on the conversation.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Always great to see you, Catherine, and best to you guys.
Yep. Have an awesome day. Talk to you later.